I knew something was wrong before I even turned onto my street. Call it intuition, or maybe just years of waiting for the other shoe to drop. But when I saw that bright red sold sign stabbed into the front lawn of my childhood home, the home I'd just spent the last 14 months renovating, my hands started shaking so badly I had to pull over. My name is Sarah, and I just got robbed by my own parents. I fumbled for my phone, nearly dropping it twice before managing to dial my mother's number. The call went straight to voicemail. Of course it did. I tried my father next, and on the fourth ring he picked up. "Hey, sweetie," he said, casual as could be, like he was commenting on the weather. "How was your conference in Boston?" "Dad," I fought to keep my voice steady, "why is there a sold sign in front of the house?" A pause. I heard my mother's voice in the background, then shuffling like he was switching ears. "Oh, that. Well, your mother and I decided it was time. The market's hot right now. You know how it is." The market's hot, like we were discussing stock tips over coffee. I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles went white, staring at the house I'd poured my heart, soul, and life savings into. The new windows I'd installed gleamed in the afternoon sun. The wraparound porch I'd rebuilt board by board mocked me with its fresh coat of sage green paint. "Time?" My voice cracked. "Time for what? To sell the house without telling me, after everything I put into it?" "Now, Sarah," my mother's voice cut in. She must have grabbed the phone. "Don't be dramatic. We're the homeowners, sweetheart. It's our decision to make." I closed my eyes, remembering every weekend spent stripping wallpaper, every contractor I'd coordinated, every penny of the $100,000 I'd invested. "Mom, we had an agreement. I paid for the renovation. We discussed this. I was supposed to have equity." "Oh, honey," she interrupted, that familiar condescending tone making my stomach turn. "We needed the cash. You understand, don't you? The buyers made an excellent offer, and really it was so sweet of you to fix up your old family home. We're very grateful." Grateful. The word hit me like a slap. I watched a well-dressed couple emerge from a luxury SUV, walking up the driveway with what had to be their realtor. They were pointing at my garden, at my porch, at all my work. "Who are they?" I asked, my voice hollow. "The Delgados," my mother chirped. "Lovely people. They're closing in 3 days. They absolutely adored what you did with the place. It's why they offered so much over asking. 3 days. The timeline slammed into me like a physical blow. They'd planned this, timed it perfectly with my work trip. They'd waited until I was gone to put up the sign, probably hoping to close before I even knew what was happening. "How could you do this?" I whispered. "How could you just now, Sarah?" My father's voice again, stern this time. "What's done is done. We're your parents. We know what's best." I ended the call, my hand shaking as I lowered the phone. Through the windshield, I watched the potential buyers admiring my handiwork, imagining their future in my labor of love. They had no idea what they were walking into. A text buzzed through. My sister, Annabelle. "Hey, sis, heard you found out about the house. Don't be mad at Mom and Dad, okay? They really needed this." I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my glove compartment and pulled out a worn leather folder, the one my ex Casey had insisted I keep somewhere safe. "Just in case," he'd said back then, his lawyer instincts kicking in. "I know you want to trust them, Sarah, but protect yourself." Inside was a document my parents had signed 3 years ago, buried in a stack of renovation paperwork. They hadn't read it carefully. They never did. All was too busy, too important to be bothered with details. But Casey had helped me word it perfectly, legally binding, recorded with the county clerk. My mother was right about one thing. What's done was done, but not in the way they thought. I watched the Delgados climb back into their SUV, already picturing their furniture in my spaces. Poor them. They had no idea they were about to get caught in the crossfire of a family war 34 years in the making. My parents always saw me as the soft one, the reliable daughter, the one who would give and give until there was nothing left. They thought they knew exactly who I was, exactly how this would play out. They were wrong. I started my car, a calm settling over me as I pulled away from the curb. They wanted to sell my renovation out from under me? Fine. But they forgot to read the fine print. And this time, I was ready. 3 years earlier, I sat across from Casey at our favorite coffee shop, watching him read through the renovation proposal I drafted for my parents. His forehead creased as he flipped through the pages, and I knew that look, the one he got when he was trying to find a gentle way to tell me I was being naive. $100,000, he finally said, setting down the papers. Sarah, that's your entire savings. I stirred my now cold coffee. I know it sounds crazy. It doesn't sound crazy, he interrupted, leaning forward. It sounds dangerous. You're planning to sink your life savings into a house you don't own based on a verbal agreement with people who have a history of. He paused, choosing his words carefully, not following through on their promises to you. They're different now, I insisted, but the words sounded hollow even to me. Mom's been in therapy. Dad's retired. They want to make things right. Casey reached across the table and took my hand. Remember last Christmas when they promised to help with your student loans if you planned their anniversary party? How much did you spend on that party, Sarah? 12,000, I mumbled. And how much did they help with your loans? I pulled my hand away. That's not fair. Mom got sick right after. She got a cold, Casey cut in. A cold that somehow cost exactly what they promised to give you. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. Look, I know you want to believe they've changed, but as your boyfriend and as a lawyer, I'm begging you. If you're going to do this, let me help you protect yourself. That night, we drafted the document together. Casey called in favors from colleagues, making sure every word was airtight. We buried it in the middle of the renovation paperwork, a simple clause granting me equity rights proportional to my investment, with the requirement that I be notified and compensated before any sale. They'll never read page 6 of a maintenance addendum, Casey predicted, but it'll be legally binding once they sign. He was right. My mother barely glanced at the papers, too busy planning where she'd put her new furniture once I finished the renovations. My father signed wherever she pointed, the way he always did. I threw myself into the work. 12-hour days turned into 14, then 16. I learned to tile bathrooms from YouTube videos, developed a first-name relationship with everyone at the hardware store. Casey tried to be supportive, but as the months wore on, the renovation consumed everything, our date nights, our future plans, my sanity. You're killing yourself for their approval, he said one night, watching me ice my blistered hands. They're never going to give it to you, Sarah, not the way you want. We broke up 2 months later. The renovation had become my obsession, my last desperate attempt to build something real with my family. Casey couldn't watch me self-destruct anymore, and I couldn't blame him. Now, sitting in my car outside the house, I pulled out my phone and found his contact. He answered on the second ring. Sarah, everything okay? You were right, I said quietly. About everything. They're selling the house. A long pause. Did they tell you first? I found out when I saw the sold sign in the yard. They waited until I was out of town. Jesus Christ, he exhaled sharply. Please tell me you still have the paperwork. In my glove compartment, right where you told me to keep it. Good. His lawyer voice kicked in. Don't confront them again until you talk to Logan Chavez. He's the best real estate attorney I know. I'll text you his number. I felt tears pressing behind my eyes. I should have listened to you back then. Hey, no, you wanted to believe in your family. There's nothing wrong with that. He paused. What they did, that's on them, not you. I spent so long trying to earn their love, I whispered. But that's not how love is supposed to work, is it? No, he said softly. It's not. My phone buzzed with Logan's contact info. Thanks, Casey, for everything. Sarah? His voice stopped me before I could hang up. Whatever you decide to do next, I'm in your corner, okay? I ended the call and looked at the house. My beautiful, betrayed labor of love. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the porch, where I'd spent countless nights sanding, painting, dreaming of family dinners and holiday gatherings that would never happen. I pulled out the paperwork one more time, running my finger over my parents' signatures. They thought they were so clever, timing the sale with my business trip. They thought they knew exactly what they were dealing with. Time to show them how wrong they were. I found Annabelle at her favorite juice bar, sipping something green and scrolling through her phone. She didn't look up when I slid into the seat across from her. I was wondering when you'd show up, she said, still typing. Mom said you're having a meltdown about the house. Where did you get the money for your new condo? I asked quietly. That got her attention. Her perfectly manicured fingers froze over the screen, and for just a second I caught a flicker of guilt in her eyes before she masked it with her usual bored expression. I don't know what you're talking about. Really? Because the realtor's website shows you just closed on a luxury condo downtown, 2-bed, 2-bath, Riverview. I leaned forward. That's quite a purchase for someone who was complaining about student loan payments last month. She set her phone down carefully. Maybe I'm just better at saving than you are. Or maybe Mom and Dad already promised you a cut of the house sale. The slight twitch of her lip confirmed it. How long have you known, Annabelle? Look, she sighed like I was being unreasonable. They needed to sell. You turned their house into some HGTV fantasy without asking. Without asking? I cut in. I have 14 emails between Mom and me discussing every single renovation. I have receipts for every penny I spent. I have. God, you're so dramatic. She rolled her eyes. It's their house, Sarah. They can do whatever they want with it. Including forging my signature? Annabelle's smoothie cup slipped, spilling green liquid across the table. What? I pulled out my phone, showing her the document Logan had sent over that morning. See this disclosure form? That's supposedly my signature, dated last week. Funny, since I was in Boston. She started, then stopped, grabbing napkins to mop up her spill. Her hands were shaking. The thing is, I continued, it's actually a pretty good forgery. Almost perfect, except for one detail. I broke my right wrist in high school, and my signature's had a slight slant ever since. This one's too straight, almost like someone who's been copying my signature since we were kids might have forgotten that detail. Annabelle's face went pale. Sarah, I can explain. You know what forgery means in a real estate transaction, right? It's fraud, federal charges, prison time. They made me do it, she burst out, her voice cracking. Mom said they needed my help, that you were being difficult about the paperwork. She said it was just a formality. I sat back, letting the betrayal wash over me. My little sister, the one I'd protected from our parents' rage, the one I'd helped through college, the one I thought might finally be on my side, had sold me out for a down payment. Did they tell you about my renovation investment? About the legal agreement they signed? She wouldn't meet my eyes. Mom said? She said you were trying to steal their equity, that you were being greedy. I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. Greedy, right, because wanting back the $100,000 I spent on their house is greedy. Look, it's not that simple. Actually, it is. I stood up, gathering my things. You chose your side, Annabelle. Now you get to live with it. Wait! She grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. What are you going to do? I looked down at her hand, then back at her face. I'm going to talk to the buyer's lawyer. I'm going to show him the legal agreement Mom and Dad signed, giving me equity rights. And then I'm going to watch this whole house of cards collapse. You can't! Real panic crept into her voice. The closing's in 2 days. My condo loan depends on your cut of the fraudulent sale. I pulled my arm free. Maybe you should have thought about that before forging my signature. She stood up, desperation making her voice sharp. I'll tell them it was your idea, that you planned this whole thing to scam them. Who do you think they'll believe? The perfect daughter or the one who's always causing problems? The old Sarah would have flinched at that threat, would have backed down, tried to keep the peace, protected Annabelle like always. But I wasn't that person anymore. Go ahead, I said calmly. Tell them whatever you want. But first you might want to check your text messages from last week, the ones where you asked me about my Boston trip making sure I'd be gone. Evidence of premeditation looks really bad in fraud cases. The color drained from her face. You wouldn't? Try me. I left her standing there, her green smoothie puddling on the table like the mess she'd made of her life. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed with a text from Logan. Meeting with the Delgados set for tomorrow morning. Bring everything. I typed back a quick confirmation, then blocked Annabelle's number before she could call. The time for family loyalty was over. Tomorrow everyone would learn exactly what their signatures were worth. Logan's office felt too small for the tension filling it. The Delgados sat across from me, their expressions shifting from confusion to anger as Logan explained the situation. Between us lay the documents, my equity agreement, the renovation receipts, and the proof of my parents' deception. Let me get this straight, Brett Delgado said, his jaw tight. You're telling us this house has a legal claim against it that wasn't disclosed during the sale? Not just a claim, Logan replied, tapping the paperwork. Miss Sarah here has a recorded lien and equity rights equal to her $100,000 investment. It's ironclad, filed with the county 3 years ago. Kinley Delgado gripped her husband's arm. But our closing is tomorrow. We've already sold our other house. I'm so sorry, I said, meaning it. I never wanted innocent people caught in this mess, but my parents sold you a house they knew they didn't have full rights to sell. This is insane. Brett stood up, pacing. We did everything right. Home inspection, title search. How did nobody catch this? Logan cleared his throat. Because someone deliberately concealed it. We have evidence of forged signatures on the disclosure forms. That's criminal fraud. Fraud? Kinley's voice rose. Are you saying we're buying a house from criminals? You're not buying anything yet, Logan said firmly. This sale cannot legally close without settling Miss Sarah's claim first. Brett stopped pacing. And how much would that settlement be? My investment plus legal fees, I said quietly, roughly $120 total. $120,000? Kinley laughed, the sound brittle. Where do they expect us to get that kind of money? We're already maxed out on our mortgage. The sellers would need to pay it from their proceeds, Logan explained. It's their liability, not yours. And if they refuse? Brett asked. Then the sale is void. You'd get your deposit back, but we'd be homeless, Kinley cut in. We close on our old house Friday. My stomach twisted. I hadn't wanted this, hadn't wanted to hurt an innocent family, but I also couldn't let my parents steal my life savings. There might be a solution, I offered, if you're willing to help me force their hand. Logan raised an eyebrow as I pulled out my phone, showing them the text messages from Annabelle about the forged documents. This is evidence of premeditated fraud. If we take this to the police. No police, Brett interrupted. We just want our house or our money back today. My phone buzzed, my father calling. I showed Logan the screen. Answer it, he advised. On speaker. I hit accept. Hi, Dad. Sarah, what the hell did you do? His voice shook with rage. The buyer's agent just called, saying there's a problem with the closing. Not a problem, I replied calmly. Just that equity agreement you and Mom signed. Remember? Page 6 of the renovation addendum? Silence, then distant but clear, my mother's voice. What is she talking about, Garrett? The document giving me legal rights to my $100,000 investment, I continued. The one you thought you could ignore by selling while I was away. Now listen here, he started, but Logan cut in. Mr. Wade, this is Logan Chavez, representing the buyers. We have evidence of fraudulent documentation in this sale. Either you settle your daughter's legal claim by noon tomorrow, or we'll be forced to involve the authorities. More silence. I could picture my father's face turning red, my mother pacing in the background. You ungrateful little... My mother's voice came closer to the phone. After everything we've done for you? Everything you've done? I felt my voice rise despite my efforts to stay calm. Like taking my life savings? Like forging my signature? Like cutting your own daughter out of a house sale to line your pockets? We'll fight this, my father threatened. We'll say you're lying, that you... Save it, Logan interrupted. The equity agreement is recorded with the county. The forgery evidence is clear. You have until noon tomorrow to wire the settlement amount, or the sale is void and fraud charges will be filed. Brett leaned forward. And will testify. Every word. The line went dead. Kinley let out a shaky breath. Will they pay? I stared at the phone, remembering every broken promise, every manipulation, every time they'd used me. They don't have a choice. They need the sale too badly. What do you mean? Brett asked. They've already spent the money, I explained. My sister's condo, their new beach house deposit. They're leveraged on this closing happening tomorrow. Logan gathered the paperwork. Then we wait. They'll either pay by noon or they lose everything, I finished. The Delgados exchanged looks. We're sorry, Kinley said softly, about your family. I managed a small smile. Don't be. Sometimes losing everything is the only way to gain anything at all. My phone buzzed again. A text from Annabelle. Mom's hysterical. What have you done? I turned off my phone without replying. The time for family drama was over. Tomorrow at noon, one way or another, this all ends. The conference room at Logan's office felt like a powder keg. My parents sat at one end of the table, Annabelle beside them, all three refusing to look at me. Logan sat at the head, his laptop open to the bank's wire transfer page. The clock on the wall read 11:45 a.m. Let's review the terms one final time, Logan said, his voice carefully neutral. To proceed with the closing, we need confirmation of the settlement payment of $120,000 to Miss Sarah's account by noon. This is extortion, my mother spat, her perfectly manicured nails drumming against the table. No, Livia, Logan replied calmly. This is consequences. You sold a house with a legal claim against it, using forged documents to hide that fact. You're lucky we're not in a police station right now. My father's face had turned an alarming shade of red. We built that house. We raised our children there. And now our own daughter is... Don't, I cut him off. Don't you dare play the victim here. I pulled out my renovation receipts, spreading them across the table. Electrical upgrade $30,000, new windows $25,000, kitchen renovation $40,000. Should I go on? We never asked you to do any of that, my mother shouted. Really? I pulled out my phone, playing a saved voicemail. Sarah, honey, the kitchen is just awful. You're so good at this renovation stuff. Wouldn't it be wonderful to make this your project? We could all spend so much more time together." Annabel shifted uncomfortably in her chair as my mother's manipulative voice filled the room. "You knew exactly what you were doing," I continued, stopping the playback. "You knew I wanted to fix our relationship, and you used that to get a free renovation. Then you tried to cut me out and sell it behind my back." "We needed the money," my father muttered. "For what?" I demanded. "For Annabel's condo? For your beach house? How many properties were you planning to buy with my investment?" My mother's face twisted. "You're just jealous because we helped your sister instead of you. You've always been so competitive." "Helped her?" I laughed. "You made her commit fraud. You used her just like you've always used me." "That's not true," Annabel whispered, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. "Isn't it?" I turned to her. "Where were they when you needed help with college? I paid your rent for 2 years while they bought their vacation home. I covered your car payments while they took cruises. I've been cleaning up their messes our entire lives." 11 minutes, Logan interrupted quietly. My father pulled out his phone, hands shaking. "We don't have this kind of money just sitting around. We've already committed to—" "To what, Dad? To promises you made with money you stole from me?" "We did not steal," my mother began, but Logan cut her off. "Mrs. Wade, I have the equity agreement right here with your signature. You knew about your daughter's investment. You knew she had legal rights to this property. You deliberately concealed this during the sale. That is theft by deception, and it is a felony." The clock ticked. 11:54. My mother's composure finally cracked. "Garrett, do something!" My father looked broken, slumped in his chair. "The beach house deposit. If we pull it now—" "You'll lose your reservation fee," my mother gasped. "We can't—" "You don't have a choice," Logan stated. 6 minutes. Annabel suddenly stood up. "I'll give back the condo money," she said quietly. I didn't know it would go this far." My mother rounded on her. "You ungrateful little—" "Don't you dare!" I cut in, standing to face our mother. "Don't you dare attack her for finally telling the truth. This is your fault, all of it." 3 minutes, Logan announced. My father was already on his phone with the bank. My mother had dissolved into tears, the fake, manipulative kind I'd seen 1,000 times before. Annabel just looked lost. "Done," my father finally said. "The wire is sent." Logan refreshed his screen, then nodded. "Payment confirmed, $120,000. My mother's tears dried instantly. She stood gathering her designer purse. "I hope you're happy," she hissed at me. "You've destroyed this family." "No, Mom, you did that, one betrayal at a time, one lie at a time, one manipulation at a time. I just finally stopped playing along." They left without another word. Annabel lingered at the door. "Sarah, don't," I said softly. "Just do better with your life than they did with theirs." She nodded once and left. Logan closed his laptop. "You okay?" I looked at the clock. 12:01 p.m. In the span of 15 minutes, I'd lost my family but reclaimed my self-respect. "Yeah," I said, surprised to find I meant it. "I think I finally am." I thought the wire transfer would be the end of it. I was wrong. 2 hours after leaving Logan's office, my phone exploded with notifications. The bank had placed a temporary freeze on the escrow account, something about suspicious activity and fraud prevention protocols. "This isn't a coincidence," Logan said when I called him. "Someone flagged the transaction." I was about to respond when another call came through, the Delgado's real estate agent. "Hold on," I told Logan, switching lines. "Your mother just called the bank," the agent said without preamble. "She's claiming your father coerced her into the sale and the wire transfer. She's trying to distance herself legally." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Of course she is. The moment things don't go her way, she throws everyone else under the bus, including her husband of 40 years. The closing's delayed until this gets sorted out. The Delgados are furious. After ending both calls, I sat in my car, trying to process this latest twist. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. When I opened it, my blood ran cold. Hey, sis, remember that time Mom forged Dad's signature on your college fund withdrawal? Karma's funny that way. A, I called Annabelle immediately. What did you do? What you taught me to do, she replied, her voice eerily calm. Protect myself. I sent an anonymous tip to the bank about Mom's history of financial fraud, including that time she drained your college fund and forged Dad's signature to cover it up. Why? Because she deserves this. All of it. Annabelle's voice cracked slightly. I found the paperwork, Sarah, the real numbers. They didn't just take your renovation money. They've been stealing from both of us for years. Different accounts, forged documents. It's all there. My hand started shaking. Where did you find this? In Mom's home office after they left Logan's. I went back to get my things and found her special filing cabinet unlocked. She must have been in such a rush to leave that she forgot to secure it. She paused. Did you know they took out a second mortgage on the house last year, using your renovation as collateral? The hits just kept coming. That's why they needed to sell so quickly, I realized. The payments must be coming due. Sarah, Annabelle hesitated. There's more. That beach house they put a deposit on, it's not even real. The investment company they wrote the check to, I looked them up. It's a scam. They got conned trying to con you. I had to pull over as the implications sank in. My parents hadn't just betrayed me. They'd orchestrated their own downfall through a web of lies and fraud that was now unraveling spectacularly. My phone rang again. Logan. Your sister's tip opened a whole investigation, he said without preamble. The bank's fraud department is going through everything, your parents' accounts, the house sale, all of it. How bad is it? Bad. The second mortgage they took out? They used forged documents for that too. The bank's talking about pressing charges. I closed my eyes. And the closing? Completely stalled. The Delgado's lawyer is advising them to walk away. With fraud allegations involved, the title company won't insure the sale. Another call beeped through. My father. I have to go, I told Logan. My dad's calling. I switched lines, but it wasn't my father's voice I heard. You vindictive little bitch, my mother seethed. Are you happy now? The bank's frozen everything. Your father's having chest pains. The beach house company won't return our calls because they're scammers, Mom, just like you. She fell silent. How long? I asked quietly. How long have you been forging signatures and stealing money? Was anything in our lives ever real? You don't understand. Actually, I do, finally. You're not a mother. You're a con artist who had children, and now your biggest con is falling apart. Please, her voice changed, becoming small and pleading. Another manipulation tactic I recognize too well. We can fix this, as a family. Just call off the bank investigation. No, I said firmly. I'm not fixing anything for you, not anymore. I ended the call and immediately blocked her number. Seconds later, a text from Annabelle came through. Mom's telling everyone you drove Dad to have a heart attack. He's fine, BTW. I called the hospital. Just anxiety. Thought you should know. I started my car, suddenly needing to move, to drive, to be anywhere but here. Another text buzzed through. Logan. Meeting tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Bring everything you have. The DA's office wants to talk. I pulled onto the highway, no destination in mind. Behind me, the life I'd known was crumbling. Ahead lay uncertainty, but also maybe freedom. My phone buzzed one final time. Annabelle again. I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner. You were right about everything. Sometimes karma doesn't just come for those who hurt you. Sometimes it comes for those who hurt themselves. The courthouse steps felt like neutral ground for what would be our final confrontation. My parents arrived with their lawyer, not the family friend who'd handled their affairs for years, but someone new, someone expensive. My mother wore her best victim outfit, conservative dress, minimal makeup, clutching my father's arm like she needed support to walk. Logan stood beside me, solid as a wall. Remember, let me do the talking. The Delgados arrived next, their faces tight with barely contained fury. Their lawyer carried a thick folder of documents, evidence of my parents' fraud that had emerged during the title search. All parties present? The mediator asked, checking her clipboard. Let's move this inside. The conference room felt too bright, too sterile for the mess we were about to untangle. We took our seats, the Delgados and their lawyer on one side, my parents and theirs on the other, Logan and me at the end. Annabelle slipped in last, sitting alone in the corner. We're here to resolve the disputed property sale, the mediator began, but Brett Delgado cut her off. There's nothing to resolve. We want our deposit back, and we want compensation for our moving expenses and temporary housing costs. My mother started to speak, but her lawyer touched her arm. My clients are willing to return the deposit, but any additional compensation. Your clients committed fraud, the Delgado's lawyer interrupted. Multiple counts. We have documentation of forged signatures, undisclosed liens, and a second mortgage obtained under false pretenses. Those allegations are true, Annabelle said quietly from her corner. Everyone turned to look at her. I found Mom's files. I gave copies to the bank's fraud department yesterday. My mother's face went white. You did what? The same thing you taught us to do, Mom. Look out for myself. The mediator cleared her throat. Given these developments, I should inform everyone that this matter may need to be referred to the district attorney's office. That won't be necessary, my father spoke for the first time, his voice trembling. We'll return the deposit and pay the Delgado's expenses. Garrett, my mother hissed, but he continued, and we'll sign over the house to Sarah. It's her equity anyway. We'll take the second mortgage debt. My mother stood up so fast her chair fell backward. Like hell we will. That house is our retirement, our future. No, my father said firmly. It's the mess we made by trying to cheat our daughter, and I'm done. The mediator looked between them. Mr. Wade, are you suggesting a full property transfer to your daughter? Yes, he said, not looking at my mother. She put in the work. She deserves it. This is ridiculous, my mother sputtered. You can't. Actually, he can, her lawyer cut in. And given the evidence of fraud, it's your best option to avoid criminal charges. The next hour passed in a blur of paperwork and signatures. The Delgados would get their deposit plus expenses. I would get the house, assuming the second mortgage debt, but with enough equity to refinance it fairly. My parents would walk away with nothing but their freedom from prosecution. As we left the conference room, my mother grabbed my arm. You've ruined everything, she spat. I hope you're happy. I gently removed her hand. You ruined everything, Mom. Years ago, when you decided that money was more important than your children's trust. Don't you dare lecture me about... Mom, Annabelle appeared beside me. Stop. It's over. Our mother looked between us, her two daughters finally united against her manipulation. Something in her broke. I saw it happen in real time. The mask cracked, revealing the scared, angry woman who'd spent a lifetime running cons to feel powerful. You think you've won? She whispered. Family doesn't do this to family. Exactly, I replied, which is why we're done being family. She turned and fled down the courthouse steps, leaving my father standing alone. He looked old suddenly, defeated. Sarah, he started, I know it doesn't mean anything now, but I'm sorry. You're right, I said. It doesn't mean anything now. He nodded once and walked away, following his wife one last time. Annabelle touched my arm. You okay? Are you? You lost them too. She smiled sadly. Maybe we lost them years ago and just didn't want to see it. Logan approached with the final paperwork. House is yours, clean and clear. I took the documents, feeling their weight, not just the paper, but the years of manipulation and lies they represented, and the freedom they now guaranteed. What are you going to do with it? Annabelle asked. I watched our parents' figures disappear into the parking lot. Two people who'd constructed their whole lives on deception finally facing the truth. Sell it, I said. Start fresh. Build something real this time. The courthouse doors closed behind us with a final heavy thud. Ahead, the afternoon sun painted everything in new light. The empty house echoed with my footsteps as I walked through each room one last time. My phone buzzed. A text from my real estate agent confirming tomorrow's closing with a new buyer. A good offer, well above market value. No hidden clauses this time, no secret agendas. Just a clean sale to a young family who loved what I'd built here. The doorbell rang. Casey stood on the porch, holding two coffee cups and wearing that half smile I remembered so well. Thought you might need this, he said, handing me a cup. Logan told me about the courthouse showdown. I let him in and we sat on the kitchen counter, the same spot where we planned the renovation 3 years ago. Thanks for coming. I wanted you to see it finished. It's beautiful, he said, looking around. You did amazing work here. I did, I agreed. No false modesty needed. Want the tour? We walked through each room and I found myself telling stories not about my parents or the betrayal, but about the work itself. The weekend I learned to install baseboards, the tile disaster that taught me about proper grout spacing, the victory of hanging my first chandelier. Remember when you thought you couldn't do any of this? Casey asked as we reached the master bathroom, my proudest achievement with its rainfall shower and heated floors. I remember you believing I could even when I didn't. He touched the marble countertop. You know, when I helped you draft that equity clause, I hoped you'd never need it. I know. I leaned against the door frame, but you prepared me anyway. Because I saw what they couldn't. How strong you really are. My phone buzzed again. Annabelle. Mom's still telling everyone you bankrupted them. Dad finally moved out. Karma's not done yet. I showed Casey the text. He let out a low whistle. How are you holding up with all that? Better than I expected. I put the phone away. It's like all those years I spent trying to earn their love, trying to fix everything. It wasn't really about them. It was about proving something to myself. And did you prove it? I gestured around us. Look at what I built. Look at what I protected. Look at what I walked away from when it wasn't right anymore. Yeah, I proved it. We made our way back downstairs. The setting sun streamed through the windows I'd installed, casting long shadows across the hardwood floors I'd restored by hand. The new owners are getting one hell of a house, Casey said. They're getting more than that. They're getting a home built with lessons. I ran my hand along the wall. Every room taught me something: patience, precision, self-reliance. And the biggest lesson? That sometimes building something beautiful means tearing down something toxic first. We stepped onto the porch, my porch with its perfect sage green paint. Casey touched my arm gently. Sarah, I'm proud of you. Not just for this, he gestured at the house, but for everything after, standing up to them, protecting yourself, choosing peace over family obligation. I had a good teacher, I smiled, even if I was a slow student. You were never slow, just thorough, making sure every piece was in place before making your move. My phone buzzed one last time, the final wire transfer confirmation from the bank. Tomorrow's buyers were ready with clean funds, no complications. Want to help me with one last thing? I asked Casey. He followed me to the garden where I knelt and dug up the small metal box I'd buried 3 years ago. Inside was a letter I'd written to myself the day I started the renovation. Dear future Sarah, I read aloud, I hope by the time you read this you've built something beautiful. I hope you've learned that your worth isn't measured by their approval. Most of all, I hope you found the strength to choose yourself. Casey squeezed my shoulder. Sounds like past Sarah was pretty smart too. I closed the box, leaving the letter inside. The new owners would find it eventually, maybe during their own renovations. Maybe it would help them build something beautiful too. Ready? Casey asked as the sun dipped below the horizon. I took one last look at the house. Not my parents' house anymore. Not even my house. Just a beautiful thing I'd built, protected, and now set free. Yeah, I said, pulling out my keys. I'm ready. We walked to our cars, the gravel crunching under our feet. Behind us, the house stood solid and sure in the gathering dusk, a testament not to what I'd lost, but to what I'd found. I'd found myself brick by brick, room by room, and that was worth more than any inheritance my parents could have given me. That was worth everything.